3 hours, what we got. Kian Schaffer-Baker, we teed it up on our socials. He's going to be in studio. We are going to talk about the Winter Classic going on in Saskatoon this Saturday, plus a whole lot more when it comes to football. Really curious to get his take on the NFL loop and now the Super Bowl combatants. Also, we got Eric Francis in hour 2 talking NHL hockey, our clutch performer. Steve Turner from Curling Saskatchewan going to join us and tell us how everything wrapped up in Kindersley. They had the dual event this year. Was that a success? Will fill us in on the numbers and all that. And then in hour 3, Dante De Caria as the Regina Pats get set to take on the Prince Albert Raiders this evening, 7 o'clock right here on 620 CKRM. RP, back for another shift in the cage. Only 33 degrees in here today. Good day to wear a hoodie.
Yeah, good costume change for me. Normally, I like to come in here and say I'm happy to be here riding shotgun, but with KSB in the studio, I'm probably stuck in the back seat with my knees up around my ears in the back of the old 86 Corolla or something like that. So good to be back on here, though, Barney.
Let's get right into it. Joining us in studio from your Saskatchewan Rough Riders, Kian Schaffer-Baker. We're gonna start talking hockey first, which I know is really weird. It's Saturday at the Belcher, 1 p.m. Now you're coaching Chris Getzlaff's team. Is that correct?
That is correct. I'll be making my first official coaching debut.
Has Getzlaff, have you guys talked? Have you been watching tape and who you're going to draft?
Tons of tape. You know, me and Getzlaff, we've been in conversation about just building the best team to give us the best foot going forward to go win this game this weekend.
So you're against Brett Lawther and a Joe. When it comes to the draft on Friday, are you guys eyeballing anyone, like maybe a first pick, an early pick?
Yeah, we got a couple prospects we've been eyeing in on, and, you know.
Anyone you want to let us know on?
We can't drop no names.
No names.
No. Joe could be listening to this right now. So
yeah, well, that's smart.
Good point. That would be smart. Maybe give us some insight though. What kind of attributes are you looking for? Are you going with hockey experience? You going with size? Maybe you're going to add a little bit of character first overall to the room. What kind of
those
team
are all
are you
some
looking
very
for?
good qualities. You know, at the end of the day, we just want gritty players out there on the ice. People that are just going to come out there, work hard, give it their all, leave everything they got out there.
Yeah.
Maybe someone that's going to intimidate Brett. He is a kicker.
He's a kicker, so it won't be too hard to do that.
There was word on the street, though, that he could be, like, I skated with him last week. He's looking pretty good. Word on the street, though, that he could be a little nagging injury. It could be day-to-day.
Could be day-to-day. We'll be monitoring that one.
Yeah. What about coaching? When you're coaching, do you have any of the cliches ready to go? Like, get pucks in deep. You know, you miss 100% of the shots you don't take. Run the goalie. Anything like that?
That was a real good one. One that sticks out is just top shelf. You get in top shelf.
Yeah.
So Mississauga guy, right?
Mississauga guy.
Did you play hockey at all growing up?
A little bit of road hockey, but never got on the ice.
Really?
Yeah.
Can you skate?
I can skate. I can't stop, though. I was a real good roller skater, so, you know, we got the little front block where you can just toe drag to stop. You don't have that on the ice skates.
Roller skates or like roller blades?
Roller skates.
Wow.
Yeah, it's old school with it. They used to call me Crazy Legs back in the day.
Yeah, they go in the oval. Did you do any of those dance things?
Yeah, they call me Crazy Legs.
We got to get it. We got to get some videos.
I might have to get a roller skating rink built out here. That's been an idea of mine.
Or just
if you guys know some people to get me connected with, we could talk some business.
Around the concourse in the stadium. Roller skating nights, Wednesdays.
Is roller derby still a thing in the city? There was a roller derby league there for a little while, but
the way that everything's going in the world, I don't think roller derby is going to go.
Well, you never know.
But yeah, like that would be come and skate with Kian and the boys every Wednesday night.
Like a great time right there.
At Mosaic.
Thursday night will be old school night. Get all the classics on.
Get the retro music going.
Retro music.
It goes down Saturday at the Belcher Center, 1 p.m. It's Getzlaff's team, coached by Kian Schaffer-Baker, against Lawther's team, coached by Joe. They got the kids zone, special giveaways, in-game activations, meet and greets. $25 per ticket. When you buy an adult ticket, you get 2 youth tickets. That's 12 and unders. Free admission for anyone 12 and under as well. 13 and older, 25 a ticket. And then team tickets. If you want to do some team building, get the office together, something like that. It's $95 for 20 tickets. And of course, it all goes to the foundation. It's a good cause. Let's talk some football. Let's start with a Joe. Right, as a guy that's in the receiver room with you and all, now he signs with Indianapolis. Just what kind of feelings, what kind of emotions come over for you seeing one of your guys go?
Yeah, it's almost like a big brother moment. Watch my little brother get drafted. Well, not drafted, but signed to the Indianapolis Colts. And it's a phenomenal opportunity that he has coming, and he's so deserving of it. He's one of the hardest workers in the building, and just the talent he has. So once you mesh all that together, there's no stopping that.
You had a chance to work out for some NFL teams a couple years ago, right? What's that experience like?
I mean, when you dream of going there your whole life, it's a phenomenal experience just to see everything from top to bottom, the way they carry their cultures and the facilities and everything they got, and the way everything is just, you're blown away. And it was just in awe the whole time, and I just tried to soak up every single moment of it. I was out there.
Yeah, looking back on your experience, Kian, what kind of advice would you maybe give a Joe going through this for his first time now on that? What kind of advice would you give him heading down there?
Yeah, probably just be himself. That's what's gotten him this far, and it's what's going to continue to propel him along his journey. And, it's a perfect scenario. I grew up a Colts fan, so he's going to the perfect place.
There you go.
Hopefully he can turn things around because it's been a rough couple of years.
We're in free agency right now, and the tampering window's coming up, and, you're not involved in that. But as far as a guy are you talking to other guys? Are you watching it? And then would a lot of the guys is kind of nervous and anxious moments for some of the guys that are going through that?
Yeah, I can only imagine what guys are feeling going through this moment right now. But that's just the game of football. It can be over in a second. So, but I've taken some pride in doing some recruiting this offseason. I don't have an official title with the team, maybe soon, but I'm definitely out there recruiting guys, telling them that this is the place they want to be if they want to win.
Yeah, I was going to lead into that. There's maybe take us behind the scenes a little bit within the rules, obviously, but do players talk around the league and guys know who are pending free agents and potentially a team could be interested? Is there conversation that happens amongst players? Yeah,
definitely conversations. I hope there's no rules and regulations behind it. I haven't heard nothing from the CFLPA yet, but Brett will be the first one to let me know. That's right, yeah. But yeah, I know everyone who's a free agent. There's a whole bunch of guys I train with in the off season. This is just the place to be if you don't want to miss it now.
Do you think that's the benefit of that CFLPA survey that came out last month as well? Now teams can kind of see how players feel about certain organizations. Obviously, I thought the Riders ranked very high, which wasn't a surprise from around here. But do you think that's an opportunity for other players to see some of the behind the scenes maybe that they don't know?
Yeah, I think it definitely helps for guys when it comes down to that process. But at the end of the day, they don't really got a choice, so you just got to be accepting and willing to take every opportunity that comes your way.
Let's just talk about the receivers that are coming back, that we know that are coming back in that group. Now, we lose a Joe, but obviously everybody's excited, and it starts with, Harris being back, and Mark Mueller, like just the vibe around the offense and you guys, just so much positivity. 12 months ago, you didn't really know. There's a lot of unknown. Mm-hmm. Going into this year, what's the feeling? And
that's the one thing that the coaches are really trying to build on this year is that continuity of the group. And, we've seen it I think we're leading the league in the most free agent signings before free agency tips off. But, we had so much fun out there this year, and I feel like we got away from that the past couple years, is just having fun on offense and just going out there. And Coach Mueller did a phenomenal job of just instilling in us, just be out there and just be free and just have fun with it. Do what you guys do. And, he made sure to find our talents and what we're best at and to incorporate that into his system.
Harris is obviously a legend. But what about Jake Mayer? Have you talked to him at all? What do you know about him?
I haven't talked to him too much, but I even got a chance to throw with him when I was out in California one time. So he's a phenomenal player. He's someone we're very excited to have on our staff. We've seen him win countless games in Calgary. So just having his knowledge and his experience, he gets to learn behind one of the GOATs and one of the best in the CFL. So we're excited for what's coming.
You guys must have a level of comfort going into a second season here as well with both Coach Mace, a full off season and knowing everyone, and obviously now with Mark Mueller. How much further do you think this team and specifically the offense can continue to grow heading into this year?
Yeah, the ceiling is we don't even know what we're in for. It's just gonna be amazing to pick up where we left off. And I know it's still a bitter and sour taste in everyone's mouth, but I think we almost needed to experience something like that in order to get to the level where we're trying to go. You got to take the losses and not even look at them as that, but more so just take the lessons from it and grow and just achieve greatness from that.
If you're going to, let's say you were talking to a guy or whatever, and you were going to explain Coach Mace, how would you explain him?
The best coach, best human being, just greatest man out there. He's a role model. He's someone I look up to in the football room and also just being a man in life. He's taught me so many things, and he encourages me every single day just to be the best version of myself.
Does he seem like one of the guys, or does he still seem like there's that? No, he's still the coach.
He's definitely one of the guys, but at the same time, we still got the tremendous amount of respect for him that a head coach has. But he's one of the boys.
Same question on Mark Mueller, right? He seems like obviously a student of the game. He's been around it his whole life. Like, if you're going to explain Mark Mueller to one of your buddies or somebody, how do you explain him?
He's one of the funniest guys you'll meet, and he's also just an amazing person, and the love and passion he has for the game is unmatched, and we all just grow and thrive off that.
Yeah, it's probably one of the most things that I'm most excited for as a fan from the outside is seeing Mark's growth as well. One of the tough things as a coach, as an offensive coordinator, is getting those live reps, right? So that opportunity to go through an entire season, calling the plays solely, being able to react to different opportunities, up, down, whatever it is. That's a part of his game that I'm excited to see as well. So I think you hit the nail on the head. I think the opportunity for this offense is really, really high, and we're excited to watch where it goes for you guys. So how's your off season been, generally speaking? Training, getting ready, the body overall feels good.
Yeah, everything's been phenomenal. Body's feeling amazing. I feel like I'm 22 again. Off season training, it started the day the season ended, so we picked up right from the jump. And in the next couple of weeks, we're going out to Tampa. A whole bunch of us, guys from Saskatchewan, all over the CFL. There's going to be a whole bunch, over 30 of us out there training, getting some work in. So it's been a great offseason so far.
That doesn't sound like a bad time.
Yeah, no.
If you guys want to come out there and get some work in, you guys let me know.
I would take feeling like 42, let alone 22.
Yeah, exactly. You've really immersed yourself into the community since joining the Riders as well. You spent some time here in the off season, like I say, right deep in the community. How's that transition been for you, and something you obviously take pride in to be part of the city, part of the province?
Yeah, it's been an amazing transition. I just see the love and the passion that this community has for the Riders football program, so it's only fair that I can give at least 1% of that back. So just seeing smiles and just sharing laughs with them each and every single day, it just warms my heart.
Is it crazy when you see, you're maybe not even at the stadium, right? It's like off season, you see someone walking around with your jersey or something like that. Is it like that must be kind of weird, right? Is it getting normal now?
No, that one probably will never get normal. It's one of the greatest blessings. It's something I dreamed of as a little kid, is seeing people in the people in the stands wearing my jersey. So that one will never get old.
Yeah, no, that's got to be super cool.
Yeah, you know what? I always hate it when people talk about that the Riders are in the fishbowl. I think it's awesome. Isn't that, as athletes, isn't that what you want?
Exactly
to have that passion, to have people know who you are or when you go around town. That's the whole point of coming here and building that popularity. It might be the biggest fan
base in the world,
right?
Per capita. Yeah. And if you want to get away from it, just go to Tampa.
That's with the boys. That's with the boys. Right.
Okay, let's shift gears here because we've got about 5-ish minutes left. Let's get into NFL. So now you watch these two games this past weekend, obviously, right? Like everyone watched. Let's go through. First, Philly and Washington. Little bit of a blowout. What did you expect there? What are you seeing from Philly? And obviously Washington, right? Like, wow.
Yeah, Washington really did surprise me, but Jaden Daniels, boy, he's special. He really shocked a lot of people in the course of the postseason and throughout the entire season. But just Philadelphia, there's no stopping that team. Having Saquon back there, he's a machine. Just seeing him, he's 240 pounds, and he's still pulling away from DBs who run 4.4, 4.3s.
What as a player, I forget what week it was. It was like mid-season where he does the backwards jump over the guy. As
hurdle.
A player, like what's going through your mind there? Anyone trying that at practice for you guys?
I don't know. Definitely not at practice. That's just something in game that happens naturally, but you got to be real brave to try a backwards hurdle.
Because probably you're of the age of the younger guy. It was when Beckham, the one-hander, and when you're probably a youngster, now you and the guys are all catching with one hand, right?
Yeah, no, most. I hope people aren't trying to do backwards hurdles, 'cause I don't think that one's going to end well.
Kansas City and Buffalo. Did you pick a side there? Were you rooting for somebody on that one?
I definitely wanted to see something a little different, but at the same time, I love watching greatness. I just love appreciating greatness, and seeing what the Kansas City Chiefs are doing hasn't ever been seen before. So
yeah, what a game. An incredible game, back and forth. Just when you thought maybe the Bills were down and out, they come right back and respond and then look like they're in control of the game. And there was lots of talk all season about is it Josh Allen's time? Is it Lamar Jackson's time? Or are they the arguably best quarterback? And then Patrick Mahomes just went, just hold on a second. Just hold on a second. Yeah. I'm still the guy. So I'm with you. I won't be as politically correct. I was hoping Kansas City lost. I've seen enough of them. But man, they are an incredible
might have
team.
Another 3 more years of them. So
absolutely.
What was your take on that fourth down? Do you think that was over the line? The late one, like where
the QB sneak.
The QB sneak.
Do you call it something different there?
No, I don't think so. You got to get over the line to get the first down. You can sit back and argue all you want, but if you got that extra half yard, if the old line got that little bit more of a push, then there's nothing to argue.
And then Spags runs the blitz late and
calls the corner blitz.
Josh Allen's kind of fending for himself. There's like no check. It doesn't seem like there's any check down. Nothing.
No.
Still manages to get a pretty good ball off, but
yeah.
Hey, receiver
Kincaid
arguably should have been caught. Hit him in both hands.
Yeah, it was a tough postseason for tight ends, I'd say.
Yeah,
with the Baltimore one,
Andrews.
Yeah, Andrews.
Yeah, it's tough. What you're gonna sit down and watch the Super Bowl? Obviously, are you picking a side there? As a Colts fan, you're kind of
I'm in the neutral zone, but.
Greatness, or maybe see something different, maybe Saquon.
I'd like to see Eagles get their shot.
Yeah?
I think it's their time. Oh, yeah. Jalen, he's stand-up guy, man of God, and just watching his professionalism, I've taken a lot from his game, so I think he's ready to take this test on. He's been waiting for this moment.
Who's your favorite Indianapolis Colt of all time?
All time, I got to go Reggie Wayne.
Yeah.
Reggie Wayne. I wanted to say Peyton, but I got to go Reggie.
Yeah. Well, they may say Kenton Keith, former Saskatchewan Rough Rider. Pleasure having you in. Have so much fun. You're heading up tomorrow night to Saskatoon?
Yes, sir.
Right on. It goes down Saturday, 1 o'clock at the Bell Shirts. Team Getzlaff, coached by Kian Schaffer-Baker, against Brett Lother's team, coached by Joe. Tickets $25. Kids under 12 are free. $95 gets you 20 tickets. Heck of a deal. Thanks for making some time today.
Appreciate you guys for having me. We hope to see you guys all out this weekend.
Right on. It is the All New SportsCage, streaming at SportsCage.com. Welcome back to the Wednesday edition of the SportsCage. It is for Regina Motor Products. Barney Shynkaruk, Ryan Pollock here, Colson and Curtis. That was a fun interview.
Really good. Yeah, he's a great dude. Really good guy.
Can't stop when he skates, but can roller skate. Doesn't strike me as the roller skater.
No, I wouldn't have checked that box coming in for sure.
No, something else. Skateboarder, even.
Yeah.
Roller skater. But that's it was a lot of fun, and it's going to be. Have you ever? This how many years is this? You've never been to the Winter Classic since they've put it on?
No, I think this is year 3 of it.
Yeah, great fundraiser.
Yeah,
they just announced that Luke Gazdic is coming into play. That'd probably be someone you might want to take first round.
Yeah, and when he's on the show on Hockey Night in Canada and that's and on the Oilers panel, he looks like he's a guy that could still get around a little bit too. He
hasn't gotten plump.
No.
Still in good shape. I'm trying to think if I know of anyone else that's in the draft, because I think the draft is Friday night.
Right.
They pick the teams. And then there's some bragging rights.
Oh, for sure there is. Because it's a bunch of athletes and competitors, and
you just don't shut it off.
Exactly. It's like we say, the body changes, but the mind still thinks it can do what it used to. So it'll be an interesting time. I know it's been a ton of fun. Obviously talking to some of the guys in the organization that have helped out and been around it, and knowing Brett and talking to him about it, it's a ton of fun for those guys, and a great experience for fans to go and see these guys in kind of a different atmosphere and see just what kind of athletes they are too. Because a guy like Getzlaff, I've played rec hockey with, and that he's a player. He can get around the ice as well. So Lawler's good.
Yeah, a heck of a shot.
Mm-hmm.
And he's got young legs, so he can move out there. It's a lot of fun.
I'll tell you that when I was with the team in 2013, after we won the Grey Cup, we did a little Grey Cup hockey tour.
Oh yeah,
and I played with the team in Estevan and Weyburn. And being around these guys all the time, you kind of get used to size, big athletes, right? We're warming up, and Brendan Labatt and I are standing side by side. I've never felt so small in my hockey equipment as I did in that moment. I'm a 6-foot guy, played college, played a little bit beyond that. He's 6'5", 305 athlete standing beside me on his skates. Massive moving man.
Well, it's like Noah Zare, who we had on a couple weeks ago, whatever.
Yeah.
He's going to play. What was his stat line, Colson? Like he's 270?
Something like that. Hold on.
Yeah, and he obviously he played in Langenberg.
Yeah.
Growing up, he said he wasn't the most, nimble or whatever, but he's a big body. So he's going to be out there on Saturday. I can't even imagine running into some of these guys.
6'7", 330.
Those Bowers will be screaming.
Reinforced Rivetville. Yeah, that's a lot. Staying with hockey. Last night, we got to give a shout out to Davin Husband from the Regina Extreme Hockey Capitals. He worked his 900th game in the PJHL.
Wow.
You've been around junior hockey, right? Your coaching days, your playing days, all that. The trainers on any team, obviously, are especially when you're kind of at that level, where they're just doing it for the most part for the love of everything. Like I kind of joked yesterday, how many towels, how many bloody sweaters has he had to work with filling up water bottles?
Well, I mean, the number into itself is significant. But again, this is a league that, do they even play 40 games, 40 regular season games, 50 so
yeah, somewhere in there.
Point being, the NHL is 82, right? So it's a lot of seasons to get to 900, and that's a dedicated staffer for sure. So that's a heck of a badge. I don't know if he sharpens skates, but over the years, how that game. I want to get Hoons on from the Regina Pats at some point. Yeah.
And I want to get Greg Mayer on, who used to be with the Pats and obviously now with the Riders, and just kind of talk about being a trainer, because I just think that's fascinating. Could be another Netflix series that I would be just right, because some of those guys, they get, the bus gets in, everybody scrams, or in the NHL, and the NHL is a little bit different, but they grind till pregame skate.
Yeah, we've heard stories, and not even stories, heard direct of exactly that. You arrive and the players get to go to the hotel and check in and maybe get some rest before the next day's morning skate or morning practice. But those equipment guys and trainers, they're going straight to the rink to get the room set up and get everything set up. So when those players come through and 5-6 hours time, everything's ready to go. And we've heard stories of guys sleeping on the floor in the locker room. One guy setting up while the other guy gets a little bit of rest, and then flipping for the same thing. Because then once the players arrive, it's not as if that staff get to leave and go get their rest. They're they're working again. So it's definitely the most important piece. It was the advice I got right away when I went to junior. A friend of mine told me the first person you treat really, really good is your equipment guy and your trainer, because they can control a lot of things about your successes or unsuccesses. So
we got a picture sent from the guy who messaged us about it. So a picture of the team with Davin celebrating his 900th game. So we'll put that up on the stream so people can see it. And probably should post that as well. But yeah, just big congrats to him. 900 games. Awesome.
Yeah, that's fantastic.
Yeah. We never caught wind on what they bought him for a prize. What do they, watch? What 900 games? What would be justifiable? A watch?
He's probably well past the really nice pen at this point.
Yeah. What is he going to do with the pen?
He's 100 away from the silver stick.
Yeah. Probably get him like a barbecue, something that he would use. I don't know, unless he lives in a basement suite of a condo. I don't know.
Right. Yeah.
But 900 pens. Ooh, that'd be awesome.
That is Curtis, folks. That's a Curtis chime in brought to you by a Blackstone.
Oh,
Be a nice gift. 900 games and anything. And then the Capitals ended up winning 7-3 over the Regina Silver Foxes. Shout out Tyson Kistner, 2 goals. Kian Knoll had 3 helpers. Drew, don't call me Matthew Perry. No, Perry Ma. 43 saves. 43 saves in a 7-3 win. Good job. AAA midget tonight. Everything's up north. PA's in the Battlefords, Notre Dame's in Warman. Pat Canadians and Moose Jaw, they're tied.
Yeah, she tightened right up again.
What a league this year.
Yeah. I was at the Pat Canadians game 2 nights ago.
That was a tough one for Notre Dame.
A very tough one for Notre Dame. They played with a ton of jam for about the first 3 minutes, and then I'm going to walk that back. They actually play really hard.
Do they?
They play hard. They're a little bit limited in their top end and depth versus these higher end teams like the Pat Canadians, but they play hard. They played hard right to the end, so give them credit for that.
Pat Canadians and Moose Jaw are tied 54 points, and then it's Swift Current with 50, then Tisdale sneaking up there at 48, and then the Saskatoon Blazers. They got like 4 or 5 games in hand. They're sitting with 42 points. The Regina Pats are on the road up to PA as we speak. We're going to talk to Dante De Caria in hour 3 here on the show. Game can be heard right here on 620 CKRM. Puck drop is at 7 o'clock. We had Brad Haroff on last week, and again, you would know that they're young.
Oh yeah,
and he joked with us. It's like we're kind of a glorified AAA midget team, and we're going up against the Lethbridge, Medicine Hats, and they actually had some decent showing. Medicine Hat they were off, but Lethbridge they gave a game. They were tied, I think, at the 20 mark, at the 40 mark, and then they knock off Prince Albert here the other day, which they're going to PA tonight, but. That PA team's scrapping for positioning.
Yeah, they're still in the fight for sure there. And, you and I both know Brad, and what we know about Brad is that he's going to have those guys playing hard, and they're going to be tough, and they're going to work. So they're going to give themselves an opportunity when they can. And unfortunately, when you ran the gauntlet, I think that was the last time I was in here, we were talking about the Pats were out there running that gauntlet of Calgary, Lethbridge, Medicine Hat in a run. So understandably, maybe have a bit of a trip up there, but the Pats are gonna play hard, and they're not standings watching. They're not concerned about who they're up against. They're gonna go out there and compete and put their best foot forward. And with this young team and playing that way and laying that foundation, and those expectations will only serve them well for the next couple of years moving forward.
It's almost I don't want to say almost set, and no disrespect to Davey Strush, who's coming in here Friday with the Red Deer Rebels. Going to have him on the show, actually. Always nice to catch up with Strusher. His Red Deer Rebels, as it stands right now, they're 11 points back of Brandon, who's in 8th. So you kind of have the teams that are going to be going to the postseason. It's more of a jockeying for position, with Brandon sitting in 8th. Again, Brandon's a team that, they did some trades. Roger McQueen hasn't played all year. He's been injured, and they're being cautious on that. It doesn't sound like he's going to come back, so they're fighting and clawing. Swift Current, been giving the Broncos a lot of love. They're on the BC road trip right now. They go into PG last night, get kind of mopped there, 8-3, but that's a tough stretch. You go Vic, Vancouver, then PG.
Yeah, at that level, that's a tough stretch any year against anyone. And then when you start running into some of these teams that are really loaded up, it makes it even more difficult. And the Western League's been such an interesting year. It'd be interesting to ask Dave and get his opinion there, but it feels like Red Deer was almost on the outside of an arms race, that they weren't ready or in the position to kind of join. And those other teams in the Central were maybe a step ahead of them, and then all of a sudden they just loaded right up, and it feels like Red Deer kind of got left behind potentially. So interesting to hear what his kind of perspective is on how the season's gone there.
Let's take a quick break. When we come back, I want to talk about what you've heard, if you've heard any more of the players going NCAA or vice versa, and get into that. It is the SportsCage, streaming at sportscage.com and on 620 CKRM. It's Barney, Shynkaruk, and RP for Regina Motor Products on Wednesday. Don't forget the no-charge battery inspections plus instant savings. Visit RMP today. It's kind of, we haven't, once in a while on social media the last few weeks you've seen, it's like, so-and-so has committed to playing NCAA hockey, not just dub, like CHL as a whole. You were saying that, like, the thing is for WHL teams now, it's going to become so tricky, isn't it? Like, how do you know? Like, okay, yeah, well, and we're gonna look at, is there going to be like some hard and fast rules or contracts where it's like, hey, no, you got to give us 2 years. You got to. And is the league always going to be that young, or kids going to play till the later? What, like, I don't really know what's shaking down here.
It's complicated for sure, and I agree with you. Eventually, we're going to see teams push back, for lack of a better term, and trying to look for some sort of guarantee to it. So they don't have players leveraging that out necessarily. And as an example, saying maybe the team I'm with is in a bit of a rebuild, or maybe I'm not exactly happy, so I'm out. I'm parachuting out of here. I'm going to Bemidji State, or I'm going to Nebraska, Omaha, whatever. So maybe there is a little bit of that give and take that will help you, will promote you. But you're going to play as a 17, 18, 19-year-old here, and then we'll let you go as a 20. But I've liked what I've seen. I've liked the quantity that's been committing to these schools, and like you just touched on, it hasn't solely been the Western Hockey League. I've still continued to see some Alberta Junior Hockey League commits. Obviously the BCHL continues to put out commits, and I've even seen a couple of SJHL commits. So that's good for all those levels to know that there's still eyes on them, and those opportunities are still arising.
Isn't it going to be, or one would think, how difficult it is going to be if things stay the way the landscape is right now for managers of these teams and what they're building? Because you sit and think, you get, okay, well, we got a load of 17-year-olds, couple of really good 18s. We're going to be good next year. And then all of a sudden you get the rug pulled out from under you, and what you're building for 3 years, it's like, okay, we had him. He got in a few games at 15. Then he played at 16, decent at 17. Woo, watch out, 18, 19. Well, are you going to have him at 18, 19? Which could be so difficult. And then the flip side of that is, will you have teams that, I guess you're scouting and your relationships would have to be so buttoned up where you have this team that's maybe on the cusp of doing something special, and all of a sudden you land a bunch of American kids from the USHL or from because they're going to come here and play, and then they're going college anyway.
Yeah, exactly. It feels like it's a little bit easier to come in and out, but I agree, and obviously right at the top of that list would be, how do you think Medicine Hat feels right now if the Gavin McKenna rumor continues to grow and catch legs? Like, they have the best player in major junior hockey, and the opportunity that they have ahead of them, not only this year, but then again next year, for him to return. So, obviously he's, like I say, the top level of it, but a great example of you're a little bit unsure of what you have out of some of these guys. And the thing about the NCAA too is it's a little bit of a puzzle, that teams have openings in certain years with the way their scholarships work, and they might have 2 or 3 guys graduating out in a year, so they have that opportunity to add 2 or 3 guys. So if a school's sitting there talking to you saying that we'd love you to come to Michigan, but it's got to be next year so you can slot into one of these 3 spots. So there's a little bit of that leverage working back and forth as well. So the most interesting side for me, though, from the player's perspective, is how players will now take control of their own fate, and particularly asking questions around the draft, the Bantam draft, and things like that, of saying, I want to be an NCAA player, so how is my education going to stay on par if I come and play for said WHL team? So those will be areas that the Western Hockey League takes a ton of pride in education, and making sure that these kids continue to finish their schooling, and not only finish but be successful. But those are going to be questions that maybe teams weren't faced with before, making sure that kids are NCAA compliant, which is different than graduating high school. So that'll be another element that teams will need to consider.
Yeah, another little nugget that I heard or possibly read, probably heard because I don't do a ton of reading, is where a lot of these the NHL teams, they love drafting the kids that are going to be playing 3 or 4 years of college, because then you don't got to pay them. You're not on the hook for. You kind of say, okay, let's bring them in. They do this, and whereas a lot of the dub kids, okay, well, or you go back into the draft, or these NCAA kids, there's more. And they get 4 years of growing.
Yeah, you don't have to account for them.
That's what it is, yeah.
So they get drafted at 18, and if you play in major junior, I think it's within the next 2 years you have to be signed, or else you go back into the draft. Whereas if you're in NCAA, as you mentioned, they don't need to be accounted for until they come out of school. So they are developing essentially on, call it someone else's dime. They continue to develop, get stronger, continue to grow their game, and then they graduate out or choose to come out of the NCAA, and then that NHL team is looking at a 22, 23-year-old developed player versus a 19 or 20-year-old. And especially in those kind of mid to late rounds, those NHL teams love taking those guys because, as I say, someone else is essentially developing them and could turn into be a heck of a player.
I think you and I were possibly having a pint or whatever, and we were talking about the NIL thing.
And you sounds about right. Yeah.
You knew a little bit more about it than I did. Then I kind of went down the rabbit hole the one night on reading, and it was more, the article was more structured around the basketball players, because there are a ton of good Canadian players playing NCAA basketball now, and it's where for a Canadian to go down and make NIL money, it has to be anything on campus, like jersey sales, or else you basically get squat because you're visa, you're an international student. And then that's why a lot of these basketball teams, male and female, are coming up and playing exhibition games in Canada, and then they're backdooring the money into the Canadian athletes. Very creative, circumvented.
Yeah, absolutely. And we'll see more and more of that. And when I played university hockey, we went down and played some Division I teams. They would like to bring in Canadian teams and get kind of their first exhibition game against a Canadian team. But now it might be more interesting. We might start seeing more of those teams coming up here for that exact reason. And you might see Michigan go up and play the U of A. You could see a team come up and play the U of R, and just to be able to come up for a weekend and double dip and potentially get around some of those rules. But yeah, it's interesting. We know that you're down there on a student visa, so you can't just get paid like you can't go down and work.
Yeah.
So it'll be interesting to see how they find some of these loopholes.
Bring back Chill Out. Remember that tournament in Saskatoon?
Oh, I remember it well. I played in it for 5 years.
What a great idea. Bring that back. Get people through the turnstiles. And it's will some of that change? Probably not, because it's kind of like the international working thing. Okay, well, no, you're on a student visa.
Right.
Like you can't. And
it only sounds like things like that are going to get tighter the way the U.S. is heading. So
yeah, and it's so you got to think it's not just these handful of Canadians. Like you got when you talk international students in the States, like you're talking India, China, everywhere. So then you're kind of opening up a whole can of worms. And that, because I was reading just the other day on social media, and someone was like, "Oh, these kids are going to go down and make hundreds of thousands or millions of dollars in NIL money," and it's like, it's not that easy.
Yeah, I think people need to pump the brakes on it. I think we see the social media posts, which I haven't seen anything solid, but there was the rumor flying around about Michael Misa, the Eastern Ontario Hockey League player that was offered $1 million to play for Boston College next year. Like, number one, is that even true? Number two, like, there's not a lineup for these players to pay $1 million to, and they're going to use that, if there's any legs to it, as an attraction thing, and saying, "Hey, come," so we can get more kids. But you're right, like it isn't going to be across the board. Is there an opportunity to supplement? Yeah, probably. But let's face it, it goes to top guys and guys that are actually pushing sales and pushing their program. So it'll be an interesting, I don't think we've heard the end of this at all. And, we were talking a month or 2 months ago when this all first happened, and it was about how's it going to work and who's going to be committed. But there's a whole new element to this that'll get worked out through the summer and especially with recruiting going forward.
You need a good circumventing guy.
Oh,
that's it. Yeah.
There's jobs for everyone.
I'd like that. I'd like that position.
Me too.
Give you a little resume polished up here. Have you guys thought about this way of? Let's take a quick break. It is the Sports Cage. Thanks to everyone who's hit the like button and subscribed on our stream at YouTube, sportscage.com, and on the home of sports in Saskatchewan, 620 CKRM. Kian Schaffer-Baker started the show. We'll have all that in podcast form. We'll also run it again in hour 3 if you missed that. Ryan Pollock's with me today. Rider signings this week. Grey Cup and Super Bowl winning defensive lineman Shane Ray, 6'3", 255, would have a relationship with Mace. I like that one.
Yeah, really good. Very athletic defensive lineman. Was really good with the Argos when he was over there. So yeah, I really like this addition.
How do you think that goes down? Does he just pick up does his agent? Does he go, "Hey, I liked Mace. I like what they're doing over there. Maybe go and check out what Saskatchewan's doing"? Yeah,
there could be some of that. I'm sure Coach Mace was doing the same on his end with the guy that he likes but there is definitely a comfort level there, understanding calls, understanding schemes, understanding languages. So I think that's a good place to start for them, and then obviously the money has to line up as well, as always. But I really like it. I think it's a great ad. I know that they're a team interested in looking to add some more to their defensive line, so that's a great starting point. Interested on the watch this guy in training camp, Trent Penix, 6'2", 235 as a running back. Played some tight end in college. Yeah, could provide some versatility. We've seen guys come up that are listed as a position from their NFL days and can kind of work in kind of two different spots the way the CFL works. So big body athlete. Will be interesting to see how he comes up here and moves around and see if they can find a spot for him.
You have to go low. You got to go low on him. And then it's like this free agent time that we're in a window. You've got to think a lot of these teams, although they haven't been announced, there's a lot of guys that are pretty much signed. Yeah,
there's guys on every team, I could guarantee it right now, that have already agreed or have signed and they just haven't been announced yet. Teams like to withhold the contracts for a couple of days or what have you. Not for anything malicious, but from two-sided to time out announcements. So things are being announced out to the public and through media on that, so they can capitalize on that, the PR side of it. But then also there's a belief that maybe if we have a high-end free agent signed, maybe some other teams are wondering if he'll make it to free agency, maybe wasting some man hours and some film study, maybe crunching some numbers to see if they can throw a pitch to him, and then all of a sudden, kind of in the last day, it gets announced that he's been signed, and then a team's got to switch directions. So.
I wasted all this time on him and watching him, and
every inch can make a difference. So if you know what's happening and it helps you focus on a position that maybe a rival can't get the jump on now, then it's all worth it.
I can't figure out what they're doing in Winnipeg.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know either. They've always found a way to kind of, over the last 5 years, they've found a way to rejuggle and shuffle the deck. But in saying that, they've done a really good job of lots of continuity. Their core has been their core. So to see Wolatorsky go out, to see Big Hill go out, Father Time is undefeated, right? But yeah, it's interesting to see two big names move out of there. So I know that they were really happy with their middle linebacker, that came in after Biggie. He's probably a little bit more contract friendly as well, which is part of the resolution you need to look at. But yeah, it'll be interesting to see how they move forward.
Let's pick up in hour two. I want to get your thoughts on maybe some of the free agents out there, if the Riders should go at any. We're up against news here when we come back. After news, Eric Francis, NHL insider. Interesting story from last night at the Flames game regarding somebody from Regina. It is the Sports Cage. We are streaming at SportsCage.com and on the home of the Saskatchewan Roughriders, 620 CKRM. The Deuce. Eric Francis going to be joining us in a moment here. It's Barney, Shynkaruk, Ryan, Pollock, CNC with you. If you missed Kian Schaffer-Baker in hour one, fun interview. Talking about coaching the Winter Classic coming up this weekend, and then obviously a lot of football. We're going to play that again in hour three for the people in hour three in the ride home. Also, we're going to be joined by Steve Turner in this hour to talk about the curling events that wrapped up in Kindersley, and if those were a success, and if they're looking next year to do the dual male-female thing. Beer gardens alone, you'd think that'd be a no-brainer.
Yeah. Where is it?
I think
we're in.
But rumor I heard next year's in Melville, and that is just a straight rumor from like basically someone on the street. So we'll find out more from Steve. But let's talk some NHL hockey with our NHL insider.
Time now for Inside the NHL with Eric Francis on the All New SportsCage. Inside the NHL is brought to you by Southie Mainline, the Mainline Automotive Group's newest king of trucks. Southie Mainline, just 30 minutes north of Regina. Worth the drive every time. Guaranteed.
It is for the new king of trucks, worth the drive every time. Don't forget, up to $25,000 off remaining 2024 inventory and $19,000 off 2024 heavy duties at Southie Mainline Chrysler in Southie. Eric, let's start with last night and a hilarious text message that you send me about somebody from Regina comes up to you while you're doing your hit on Sportsnet.
Yeah, like for anyone who ever comes down to the Dome, and I invite you to do the same thing as this guy Kevin did. He's like we're set up on the concourse for our intermission hits for the Flames games, and so there is quite a lot of interaction with fans. hopefully not during our live hits, but, all night long. I see all sorts of friends and neighbors and acquaintances. Anyway, this guy comes up. He wants to shake my hand. He says, Eric, my name's Kevin. I live in Regina. And I promised myself if I came to Calgary and I ran into you, I was going to come up to you and say that those hits that you guys do on the Sports Cage twice a week are the best thing on radio in Regina. So, I'm sure he's being, over the top kind, but it was really nice of him to say. But it was so funny because he had come up to me. I swear to God, it was like 30 seconds before you had texted me about Corey Sarich and some other stuff we were laughing about. But anyway, yeah, small world. And anybody in Saskatchewan who's coming to a Flames game, come find me on the concourse and say hi on behalf of the Sports Cage listeners. I love it.
Yeah, there you go. Small world. Hey?
He promised himself, so he couldn't pass it up.
Big Kev from Regina. I watched that game front to back last night, and it's funny. We talk about Uyghur maybe getting a shot to play on Canada's team in the Four Nations face-off, and then he throws an absolute pizza away early on in that game. I was like, oh no.
I noticed that. But I still think that he'd be a hell of a player to play in that tournament. But yeah, that was we debated whether or not we'd even show that highlight again because in case they were watching, it might not look too good on them. Stayed till the end of the game. You saw the antics, did you not? And maybe online you've seen them since between Wilson and Rasmus Andersson. Damn, that was a lot of fun. Hockey is so devoid of emotion and animation that this was just, for those who missed it, in the final 5 minutes of the game last night, Rasmus Andersson decided he's going to make fun of Tom Wilson for faking an injury. It was absolutely hilarious. Tom Wilson, him go into this glass box, the penalty box, and like 2 mimes, you could read everything that they were saying without hearing a word. And Wilson was making fun of how big Anderson's head is. Pulled his helmet off at one point and stretched the ear flaps open even a lot wider, and then kind of perched it on top of his head and sat there like he couldn't fit it on. Oh man, that is what hockey is missing: personalities, vitriol, and at the end of the game, all the players on both rooms were just talked openly about how much they were laughing and thought it was great. It was awesome.
The faking of the injury thing that Anderson did, that was so like, it was old school. It was like senior hockey or like junior B, junior A. You'd see those kind of chirps, right? All the time. So it was funny. It was really funny to see, as you point. Yeah. And then you watch, if people have never watched Alex Ovechkin play hockey live, I've seen it 3 times. You guys correct me if I'm wrong. But when you're watching him, it is like you're watching the lazy, adult safe A division guy that just racks up all the points. But then he's got this gear and obviously a shot, and he's so big and strong. But he kind of still floats around the ice, Eric. There isn't a lot to his game as far as excitement when he doesn't have the puck.
No, I agree with you. When he was younger, he'd run around and mow over guys. And I'll tell you what, like I had a little chat with him the other day when he was in Calgary, and like that is as physically imposing a player as the NHL has. Like not height-wise, but in terms of thickness. Like this guy's legs, his calves, he's wearing shorts. Like he's an absolute truck. And he played that way for a lot of his career while accruing all these goals. He did hit guys back in the day, you remember. And his longevity is amazing given how big a man he is and how rough and tumble he used to play at times. He's only missed something like, I don't know, something 38 games or something in his career. It's part of the reason why he's chasing this record. It's just incredible. Like, I'm with you. He's, let's just say he's efficient with his motions. He gets to his little parking spot there, his meal ticket, and he waits for that one-timer. He doesn't do a whole lot other than that, but Spencer Carberry and several other players. Now, I know they're going to say publicly all the right things, but they insist, like I said, I wrote a piece in Sportsnet about this. Like, here's a guy chasing an individual, accolade. It's not selfish, but it's an individual accolade. there is the chance, because that is the focus of the NHL right now, that could ruin team structure. It could also it could lead to selfishness. They all insist that this guy's all about winning first, and he's not sacrificed anything in the team structure. Now, I laugh because I'm thinking, the team structure is, Alex, when you get out, you go straight to your office and just wait for that pass. And what was kind of neat last night, too, is the Capitals scored on a 5-on-3. Rasmus Andersson was cheating so much, and I watched the whole shift. He was cheating so much to protect Alex Ovechkin, so Ovechkin just kept backing up. Meanwhile, Dylan Strome is right on the goal line, and John Carlson just feeds it right to him, and it's the easiest goal ever scored. And I was pointing at it at the time with Corey going, look at this, he's wide open. And I asked Corey, what do you do? And he goes, what do you do? You got Alex Ovechkin as the ultimate decoy, and you got a guy on the door front. You're damned if you do, you're damned if you don't if you're a defenseman.
Yeah, pick your poison, right? But just building a little bit more, like you said, Ovi used to run around. He used to hunt guys, and especially in playoffs, he'd be one of those guys that would identify his matchup. And obviously smart enough probably going in, knowing who he's going to play against, but identify that matchup early in games, early in series, and absolutely mow guys down and be physical on them to let him know that he's the one that's going to be in charge. So.
But isn't it funny how, remember the old World Juniors? It was like Canada would, Phaneuf and those guys would do that to him. And then when he got to the NHL, he kind of had this little bit of a streak.
Oh, for sure. And even with that, we kind of, make light of his efficiencies right now, but that's probably been part of his maturity in his game too. And early in his career, he was scoring goals, but maybe wasn't as dynamic 200 feet. Whereas now he understands where he can move, when he has to move, and obviously his line mates do a lot of heavy lifting for him while he gets to his version of the office. But it's his career trajectory, if you will, has been phenomenal to watch, and how his game has changed. But a lot of obviously the scoring elements have been there right from day one.
Tell you one thing that hasn't changed is let's see. Well, let's just put it this way. Look, the league is at a real interesting time right now. Look, in almost every sport around the world, Russians are being banned for obvious reasons. Here's the league, the most celebrated, record in our game is about to be broken by a Russian. And I think it's quite a quandary for the National Hockey League. And here's where I worry a little bit about that. We're all very well aware of Gordie Howe kind of passing the torch over to Wayne Gretzky, who earned, that record. And, Gordie was there to congratulate him and was on all those games. And now, you're going to have Wayne going to pass the torch over to Ovechkin. I just wonder I worry what Ovechkin's going to do with that title, with that mantle, with, I think, the responsibility to being a great ambassador. In 2 years' time, when his career is over, are we ever going to see Alex Ovechkin again? I'm not sure. So, he came out and did an interview yesterday. He rarely does interviews anymore. But this year, I think they kind of make him, hey, guy, the whole league is watching. You got to do an interview. But he kind of mumbled 4 sentences, and then he was done. He couldn't wait to get out of there. So he's not exactly an ambassador for the game. I'm not trying to rip into him. I'm just saying it's just kind of it's one of the sad things, I think, about this happening, going from Wayne to Ovechkin. It's just not ideal for the league.
Yeah, well, interesting perspective, and I think you nail it there for sure. It's a bit of a dilemma there. Absolutely. Hey, switching gears here a little bit, Eric. A big trade happening a couple days ago with Colorado and Rantanen. I'm curious to hear what your thoughts or views are on the interesting situations that different teams are in. Colorado kind of comes to what appeared to be a contract stalemate, if you will, or uncertainty how they would get to Rantanen and feel like they need to add depth. So they unload a top-end popular player. And then kind of on the other side of it, Pittsburgh's been in a half reload, if you will, half rebuild for the last couple of years and seem really hesitant to move on from any of their top guys. Obviously really easy to say and have opinions from the outside, but kind of how do you view handling those two different situations and how difficult it is for a GM to look at a player that's been there a long time, had success, won a cup, and then go, yeah, we're going to move on from you in order to give our team the best opportunity to win moving forward.
Yeah, the first part was Sidney. I mean, he doesn't want to go anywhere, so that kind of ends the discussion. Like, I know there are a lot of people around the hockey world who would love to see Sidney Crosby go chase another cup, or how exciting it would be if he was added to an already stellar team, near the deadline. But at the end of the day, he's earned the right to call his shots, and he's saying, I don't want to go anywhere, and that's fine. Like, I totally am okay with that. He will forever be known as the king of Pittsburgh. Him and Mario, and maybe share that mantle with Terry Bradshaw. I don't know where that's at, but in terms of Rantanen, the NHL really is all about just asset management. If you're a general manager, your job is to ensure that you do the best job possible with your asset management. And watching an asset, no matter how important, how valuable it is right now, walk out the door for nothing can be absolutely devastating and set an organization back for years. We saw it in Calgary with Johnny Gaudreau. Other teams have seen it over the years. Sometimes it's worth it. And if Rantanen were to have stayed in Colorado and helped them win another cup, and then walked, I bet you everyone would say it was worth it. But I think they're looking at, like, we already got one cup with him, and we can't risk it again. And, we talked about it just the other day, Barney and I, he played a game of chicken, Rantanen did, with his agent, and that's just what you do. And he didn't realize the clock was ticking and that they needed to come to an agreement much earlier than they did, or they never did come up to an agreement. So they traded him. Like, he was absolutely shocked, and kind of that's on him and his agent for not taking it seriously. Right. The fact that they were so far apart from the team.
I think it will be hilarious, fascinating, whatever, if he doesn't end the year. If Carolina's forced to move him.
Oh my God! What a nightmare.
Wouldn't that be something? Somebody will.
Yes,
foaming at the mouth. Take him. I don't think that's going to happen, but it'll be wild. Okay, we got the video ready, boys. Eric, it was on this day in 1989 that this happened. If you're watching the stream, here it is.
The story of the second period, what goes around comes around, Peter McNabb.
You have to watch these highlights. This is one of the funniest sequences you're going to see, because fortunately nobody doesn't look too badly hurt. Sullivan gets banged in the nose. The fans giving him a hard time, saying, that's right, kid, it's right there, that's where it is. Sullivan comes back, gets one shorthanded goal. On the same penalty kill, gets another one. Late in the period, watch Patrick Watt. Now watch the puck as it goes around. Bonk, it hits something. And now Sullivan comes over. This is the same fan that was giving Sullivan a hard time. And that's his wife laughing with the thumbs up. Come in.
Okay, that one was yesterday. We got another one coming. Do you remember that, though?
Oh, you know what? It's so funny. As soon as I saw Sullivan, I knew exactly what you were going to show me. That is absolutely one of the greatest, like one of the funniest little turn of events that you've ever seen involving a fan and a player. Yeah. Well, what's the next one?
I think the boys they're waiting to get it. The dude's wife there. Do you remember that?
Oh, yeah. That's hilarious.
Like, what are the odds?
Yeah. And even for a player to just even notice a fan kind of beacon them and then to return, that's unbelievable.
Oh, and the fact that Sullivan went and scored 2 goals in between, like the plot just kept thickening, and then it ends with that incredible punctuation mark. Thank you, Patrick Waugh.
Okay, here that was 2001. Here's the one on this day, from 1989.
No, that's not it.
Okay, the boys don't have it. It's the one anyway. We'll play it in a bit. It is the one where the ref or the guy comes off the glass in Boston,
is running,
and the linesman comes and smokes him. Do you remember that, Eric?
Oh, the fan, he comes onto the ice.
He's running down the ice, and the ref comes in.
He's coming at Bill McCreary.
Yeah, CFB right into the boards.
It's interesting we don't see that more, to be honest with you.
Well, that's probably why we don't see it more.
Yeah.
Well, we had a situation here in Calgary. There were a couple incidents over the years, and I was there for both of them, where we had a streaker on the ice. And the best one ever. Do you remember this one?
Yeah.
The guy with the red socks. He was wearing nothing but red socks. I'm not sure why he went with that, but no gear on, red socks, jumps over the glass, lands, slips, bangs his head, unconscious. Here's the story behind the story. Apparently, when the male species is rendered unconscious, sometimes you lose control of your libido. The trainer, do you know what I'm saying?
Oh, yes.
The trainer ran onto the ice with it was a pretty tiny towel, but he ran onto the ice with a towel and laid it over a tent pole effect. We'll just call it that. This guy went unconscious.
I didn't know that part of it.
No.
Yeah, no, that's the story behind the story, because I talked to the trainer about it. I know I never wrote about it, but it's pretty well known around here. He had an interesting reaction to being knocked unconscious. Got pretty excited about it too, and the trainer had to lay a towel over it. You were going to lay a towel over it anyway, but anyway.
Okay,
get him on the show.
I know you got to go. You got 30 seconds. Here's the video for people on the stream of the guy going after Bill McCreary.
Oh yeah, that's fantastic. That's some good contact.
Yeah, like the linesman that hit him was Ron the Bear Asseltine. Never heard of it. Yeah. Asseltine. Luckily that guy could have broke his neck there though. Yeah. That was scary. Okay, Eric, I know you got to go. Like I said, thanks so much, and then we'll catch up on Monday.
Okay, boys. Yeah, have a great weekend. Thanks. Cheers.
Thanks, too. Eric. That is our NHL insider, Eric Francis, for Southie Mainline Chrysler. Farewell to 2024. Hello to massive savings, up to $25,000 off remaining 2024 is the new king of trucks. 30 minutes from Regina in southeast Saskatchewan. Worth the drive every time. Southie Mainline Chrysler. Break time. It is the Sports Cage. We are streaming at sportscage.com. Now time for Clutch Performer for Nick Service in Emerald Park, your local Massey Ferguson, Challenger, Rogator, Gleaner, and Fent dealer. You can visit the fine folks or call them at Nick Service in Emerald Park. Okay, if you're watching the stream, here's a picture of them. And we are going Clutch Performer. We talked about him earlier. Davin Husband, trainer of the Regina Extreme Hockey Capitals. 900th game last night. The Capitals do beat their Regina rivals, the Silver Foxes, 7-3. But Davin, good on ya. Worked 900 games in the PJHL. Picture of him with the team. Those are nice unis.
Those are tight.
Nice. They slap.
They slap.
The kids say. Yeah, good job, Davin, on that Clutch Performer. And then my second one isn't local, but I don't know if anyone's seen this picture. Again, if you're watching the stream, 78-year-old, it doesn't have her first name, just Jaromir Jagr's mom, still skating. They have her out booting around.
Wow.
It says insane genes in the Jagr family. Mama Jagr is still skating at 78 years old.
Did you see the little see me now and I'm gone Jagr move the other night?
Yeah.
At whatever he is.
52?
52. Amazing.
Yeah.
Amazing. Take the body, kids, but at the same time.
He'd be such a truck to hit still.
Oh, yeah.
The lower body, the reverse hit. Who was I talking to the other day? Oh, there's this kid that plays Bantam AA from Saskatoon. Ukrainian kid. Great story. And the family escaped the war, came here. The dad played for Brandon back in the late 90s, early 2000s. The kid hits like a truck. He gets so, in this day and age, you cannot really hit because everything's charging, hit to the head, whatever. And I was just talking, I was trying to explain how this kid hits. And I was like, it's kind of like a Darius Kasparaitis. But he's this this kid's not overly big, but he's not small. And then guys brought up, what's the guy's name from the Red Wings? Cromwell,
Nicholas Cronwell. Yeah.
Remember how he would grab guys coming up the half boards and hit them?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, he eliminated a lot of guys off the rush in the D zone. When he picked his lane, it was gone. And actually, they're somewhat similar because both of those guys they got really low and then just explode right through as they come up. So
it's because we played in the same era, and there was those. You would have to pay attention because it was almost like they're skating back, and then they do like they're getting low. Like you said, they're getting low. And they're almost lost, and then all of a sudden, boom.
Yeah.
And you don't have the chance to lift your head. Probably a good thing for our kids that it's a throwback thing. You get one guy and out of how many that can do it. And then the reverse hit has become such a skill.
Yeah, and now it's getting called in a lot of situations as well. You're right. It used to be a thing. I learned it in junior. I had a Swedish coach, and one of the first things he told me was stop taking hits and start giving hits when you have the puck to protect yourself and create space. And now I think it was one of the World Junior games where there was a reverse hit, and they called it a penalty, an interference penalty. So yeah, interesting thing. And you're right. There's not as a lot of big physical play. I'm not going to say the game's not physical, but it's definitely changed. Those big hits have definitely lessened in the game.
We had the clutch performer. I got to give a shout out in the Prairie Junior Hockey League tonight. Assiniboia travels into Pilot Butte to take on the Storm. Puck drop there is 8 p.m. 6 points separate those two teams in the standings. AAA midget everything is up north. PA's in the Battlefords. Notre Dame's at Warman. The Patsies and Moose Jaw, they're tied at 54 points with the Pats a game in hand. Western Hockey League for extreme hockey and sport in Regina. CCM Vision Sticks have arrived. The Regina Pats are in Prince Albert tonight to take on the Raiders. The Raiders fighting and clawing for positioning. When it comes to the postseason, probably want payback after the game here the other night. That game, 6:30 pregame show right here on CKRM. 7 o'clock puck drop with Dante De Caria, who's going to join us in hour 3. The other game of note locally, Red Deer starting their swing through the area. They are in Brandon to take on the Wheat Kings. Senior score last night. Shout out. Thanks. I think somebody attached us on our socials. Foam Lake. Second straight loss. They were going to be the only senior team in the province to go undefeated this year. They lose on the weekend, and then last night they lost to Wadena 7-4.
Oh boy!
But maybe that's not going into playoffs, and they're one of the favorites in provincials and playoffs. So you drop 2. It's always nice to have a perfect season.
Hit the Wadena Bakery and got some humble pie, maybe, or what?
Oh, look at you, no Boston creams, little humble pie. So. There's a rundown of everything locally tonight. SJHL is off. They got the MJSJ going on in Winnipeg. We talked to Benny Walchuk about that yesterday. So SJ fires back up this weekend. The game of the week, worth the drive. Benny and I agreed on it. Is it Friday or Saturday? It might be Saturday. Yeah, it's a Saturday. Melfort in Flin Flon. Have you seen the standings? What Flin Flon, what their record is in the last little while?
Rolling.
They're in their last 25 hockey games. They are 22-0-2-1.
Oh wow.
Matthew Keeper lost, I think, his first game in Weyburn, but it was a shootout loss. A former Pat.
Yep. Yeah.
Playing his 20-year career, playing it out senior. And then Melfort is 4 points up in the standings. Melfort does have 3 games in hand. So the Zoo in Flin Flon. Worth the drive for Southie Mainline Chrysler, but that's a drive. You got to be prepared. I've never been up there.
I have.
I've been to Sandy Bay.
I played there. We played an exhibition tournament there when I was 18 in the SJHL, and then played one regular season game up there. A serious question, and maybe someone out there can even give us an answer. Of the rink used to be, maybe still is, famous for the giant picture of the Queen right at the end. What happened? What happened there? Is that picture still up? Or has it come down?
Curtis, you look like a guy that knows what's in the rink in Flin Flon.
I'd be honestly curious to know what they did there, because that was an imposing arena, and you get out on the ice, giant picture of the Queen. So I'd be serious. I'd be curious to know what they.
It was like the old Winnipeg Arena.
Yeah,
had the big picture of the Queen. Anybody out there know? 936-6262. We're going to talk curling in a moment, but also, since we have Ryan here, his day job is general manager of the Royal Regina Golf Course. They have some of the best technology in Saskatchewan when it comes to the simulator golf. Run by it again.
Yeah, 4K technology. We have over 1,000 courses to choose from. Very
Augusta.
Realistic. Augusta National.
It's also
Georgia Golf Club.
Yeah.
But very, very real ball simulation and flight. It's about as accurate as you're going to get playing golf indoors.
And then with the TGL thing, actually the Tiger Rory on Monday, that they went down to the wire.
Yeah,
there's a lot of people. I have the itch to play indoor golf.
Yeah, it feels
after watching it.
It feels like that TGL settling in a little bit too. I think there was not that it was clunky the first couple episodes, but I think even the players were just trying to find their way.
Yeah.
But the last 2 weeks have been a little bit more entertaining. I think the players are even relaxing a little bit more as they adjust to the conditions and all that. But I can't get over that green. That green is remarkable. How it's all the cylinder or whatever. You can put all the different.
Can you get one of those in the dining room at the Royal?
Could you imagine? It'll be bar height. We'll have to step up to it so guys can sit around it and watch you putt. But it's unbelievable how it changes and chipping onto it, and it's incredible. To me, it's the most amazing thing.
So the Royal Regina. Great place to play indoor golf. You talked about the technology. You got the bar there, the food, 4 sims, great windows.
Yeah,
right. If you go at night, I guess. But
windows are still there. But
I like it. Right. It's you look outside. We have 2 hours in the sims to give away. 936-6262. We'll do this till the top of the hour, and then Colson can choose. Text in 936-6262. Let us know you want to go swing the wrenches, go golfing. Let us know what kind of clubs you have. Maybe we'll pick someone that's got the dustiest clubs. I have power builts.
Yeah. Maybe the Ultima 2s.
Jazz Fat Cats.
Yeah.
That was a sick driver.
Oh, yeah.
I'd still use it if I could.
Yeah.
And when we come back, we're going to talk some curling. It is the Sports Cage. Thanks to everyone who's watching and liking that stream at sportscage.com. Trying to find out if the Queen picture is still up in the Flin Flon.
The Whitney Forum.
The Whitney Forum. The zoo. Benny said on Tuesday, he's like, you got to go up there. And it's like, yeah, not in November. Like today, November is nice. But it could change like that. And all of a sudden, you don't know if you're driving to Flin Flon, Uranium City, or Hudson Bay.
That's right.
The real Hudson Bay.
It's a long haul. That highway's a long haul. But it's beautiful up there. People say in the summer it's awesome, especially if you're an outdoors person and fishing and hunting and all that it'd be great.
Because I talked about Sandy Bay, which is, I think it's actually even further. Mm-hmm. The Hanson Lake. I went up there and played in the First Nations tournament when I was, 16, 15. And my dad, he used to drive the bus with the blades. And he was like, Hanson Lake, car breaks down, watch out for the Timberwolves. I'm like, what? And it's like grid road. And you got CDs. Discman's got enough batteries.
Right around there, the highway just goes into a roundabout and just heads right back. It just literally ends.
That's the end. That's awesome, though. Yeah. All right. Let's go out on the Western Pizza guest hotline. Free delivery on orders over $25 when you order at Western Pizza Express. All the Greek favorites you love and the best pizza in the nation. Regina style at Western Pizza. Steve Turner back joining us here on the Sports Cage. Steve, have you caught your breath from the weekend and the dual event in Kindersley, Steve?
Well, caught our breath. Now it's just trying to catch up on some sleep. But yeah, it was a great time. A lot of great curling, and it was a great week out in Kindersley.
So that's awesome to hear. The dual event and how you guys ran it. Is it too early? Is that something we're going to see next year?
We've committed to do it again next year. Not to say that we won't potentially tweak it a little bit. We're going to assess. We're going to get the feedback from the teams. We got some of that, but as well as everyone from ice makers to umpires to media, and just sort of assess and see if, an extra day or something like that needs to be added to it.
Where do we have next year's host yet?
We did. We were able to announce it, so it's going to be in Melville next year.
So it is Melville.
Beautiful.
Have you been to that rink? The new rink?
Yeah.
I suspect that's where it will be.
Yes, in the arena there. Yep.
Yeah, great world-class facility.
It's beautiful
in Melville. That's a great thing. So city of Kindersley rolled out the red carpet. I got to ask, the beer gardens, was it hopping?
It was a curling event. Need I say more? Of course. They welcomed us with open arms. The community was fantastic. Everywhere you went, there were displays in storefronts, all the way to up in the one lounge that there was a meal provided from a different restaurant in Kindersley every night. So the community rallied around it. Lots of sponsorship. Everybody was involved. They created some welcome baskets for the teams that were legendary, and set a bar so high for the next host committee. So
I love it. 016 and a pack of darts. No, I'm just kidding. Just take me through. I can't remember the name of the team. It's Greg. If Greg from Piffles is listening, he's going to want to slap me because we talked about it. What the team that had three players on the men's side? So that's allowed, obviously.
It is now. So that was Team Kaltoff. And what had ended up happening? They had registered as 4. But due to some unforeseen circumstances, they were only able to go with 3, and that was pretty close to the start of the event. And then there's some strict rules in terms of who they would be able to pick up. And unfortunately, you can't just pick up somebody else who was in playdowns leading up to it. So it kind of limits who they can grab. And you're talking about team chemistry and bonding. And so they made the decision, the risky one at that, to go with 3.
That is awesome. That is a cool. That's like the guys that 4-guy scramble that they go down to Las Vegas and they have to play with 3 because one guy got hit by Vegas.
Yeah, one guy gets lost.
So what's coming up now on like the calendar when it comes provincially for you guys? What should people be watching for?
Do you know what? It's basically the rest of our provincials kick in. The only other thing that's done now with men and women is our U18. Our next big one is under 20, so our juniors, which is in Regina at the Highland Curling Club, and that starts on February 5th. And then from there, we follow through with everything. That's our mixed doubles, seniors, masters, everything else here, club. That's all going over the next few months.
And then you guys in the office and girls, you guys have to be like nothing against the Scotties and our women team that's going to represent in Thunder Bay, but we got 2 entries on the men's side. Can we just end this 1980? We kind of know what people for the Chicago Cubs feel like.
Yeah, no kidding.
Yeah. Not only is it 2 at the Briar, the men's world is in Moose Jaw. We're setting up here for something special. So that's all I'm going to say. I think last time I was on, you wanted me to guarantee something. I can't do that, but we're a step closer to that now too. So Team Kleider is going to be joining Team McEwen at the Briar, and we're thrilled.
Can you guarantee me that you'll try one of the burgers at the Highland in Regina? I heard they're amazing. Maybe you have. Greg, like I said, Greg was on the other day. He said it's just unbelievable.
So, okay, that's fair. I'll take that one.
Okay.
One. Yeah.
All right. Steve, thanks again. Good job. All your work and everything. Sounds like it was a massive success in Kindersley. Melville just down the road. Next year, that's perfect. And then, you bring up the Worlds in Moose Jaw. So a lot of good curling coming up in this area. Thanks a lot, Steve.
Thank you. Okay.
Steve Turner from CurlSask joining us. That's good to hear that it was a success having the dual, because for me, the passive fan, or just being able to talk about it, makes sense.
Yeah, totally. I was 100%, and kind of to build both of those events into one and have full day going of the competition is fantastic. Plus, let's face it, we make jokes of it, but the social atmosphere that's around the curling event, that only heightens that as well. So, we touched on a few things with potential areas that they want to kind of address in year two. With some scheduling potentially in an extra day and stuff like that. So it's only going to continue to get better. So great idea, great thought to have it.
Does provincial golf, do they do the men's, like the amateurs, the juniors, they do them, both the men and ladies the same? Do they do it like the amateurs and stuff? Yeah,
Sask Ams are held as both men and women's at the same time, held at the Royal Regina last year and both events. So they do them. They do most of them as combined events.
Don't forget, if you want to go play some indoor golf at said Royal Regina Golf Course, we do have a pass, 2 free hours for you and a buddy. You want to bring one buddy to that, maybe 2, or what? You got 2 hours in that. What should you do? You can always add on, right?
Exactly. If you want to come and play a round of golf, that's probably enough time for 2 of you to get through. If you want to make it a foursome and add on 2 more hours when you book your time, just phone to book a couple extra hours, and you'll get lots in.
Was it 2 weeks ago? 3 weeks ago? I played with Donnie and Davey Lowe. Lost money. It doesn't change. Winter, summer, don't matter.
Did you slice it like you expected to? End up in the bar somewhere?
Didn't lose any balls that time. Yeah. Been known to lose balls in indoor golf.
Yeah, I was just going to say it's a lot quicker when you don't have to look for balls, but maybe that's not always the case.
You've seen me headed on one to almost the train tracks, which is directly left. Quick break. 936-6262. If you want to get in, win 2 hours indoor golf at the Royal Regina Simulators. Take a quick break. It is the Sports Cage, streaming at sportscage.com. I got to give a shout out here. And I think there's a lot of parents, you included, out there. If you have kids right now, so Colson and Curtis doesn't pertain to you. There's so much crap going around as far as sicknesses go. Coughing, flu-like symptoms, sore throat, ear infection. So ours it's been about 2 weeks with one and maybe 3-ish with the other. And it's just kind of like, it's going around. Yep. Ride it out. So last night came to a head, and the boy figured we had a sinus infection, probably a sinus infection. And then the daughter, just a bunch of different ailments. Like, hey, well, I got a clinic up here today. Family doctor doesn't start till 1. Well, that doesn't really work in my schedule otherwise. So anyway, blah, blah, blah. Shout out to the clinic we went to. Our healthcare system, you talked about this, people always, the people that work in the healthcare system are amazing.
Yeah, they're incredible. That, it gets bogged down at times or maybe gets some negativity around it, but the individuals working, the people in there, the nurses and doctors, they're absolutely incredible. And we've had it as well. My son currently is casted with a broken thumb from sports, and same thing. We go through ER, we go through different appointments, see if he needs to get pinned, gets casted once, goes in for another cast to make sure that it's healing right and all that. And the people around that you come across are just phenomenal people and genuinely care for the patients and that. So good to hear that you had a good experience. Hopefully the kids are going to be feeling better here right away soon.
Yeah, we got one's got pneumonia and the other one's got a sinus infection. It's like, all right, I'm glad we took them.
No kidding.
Get the amoxicillin and Zithromax. Yeah. Do you ever go to Mexico?
Yeah.
I did this last year. Maybe I should. I don't even know if I should be telling the story.
Specifically for medications, or are we just talking holidays?
When we used to go to Arizona a lot, our neighbors used to go down to Nogales, which is a border town like Tijuana, and that's where they would get all their antibiotics and all their medicine. They'd bring it back, and I was like, what? They're like, yeah, because you can go online and look at the dosage you need. So when you need an antibiotic, boom, it's right there. So then last year when we were down there running a fever, one of our kids, and I was like, well, we go to one of these pharmacias, and I walk in. Of course, I speak like they think I'm Mexican. So they're speaking to me. I'm like, no Espanol. Okay, you're going to dummy this down for me here. Amoxicillin. And so I bought, it was 2 for 1, amoxicillin. It was so cheap. Took it. I don't know if I'm allowed to bring it back, so maybe I'll get arrested later. I brought whatever was left over back. Then I got a fever a little while later. I hammered those back. Didn't have to go anywhere. Bingo, bango, done.
Looked after.
Yeah. It's crazy how accessible and easy it was. Not that I want to be playing around with different drugs.
Right.
But it was amoxicillin. Antibiotic. Pretty easy. So I wanted to give a shout out. Healthcare system, you guys, and the stuff you got to put up with in that field. Could never do it.
No, not for me. So I give them all the credit in the world.
Nurse, firefighter, EMT, police officer, probably teacher.
Golf club general manager.
Could do that.
Yeah. Oh.
Yeah. I could do that. I got anything else? Yeah. Maybe farming. Just because I don't know enough about it. You'd have to. It seems grindy.
Yeah. Winters would be nice.
I'd be going to buy amoxicillin in
I was
Mexico.
just going to say, lots of farmers I know have decent winters, lots of good travel. But you're right, it should be long summers. It's in my family, and we don't see my brother-in-law for weeks and weeks at a time when he's seeding and prepping and that for the season. So yeah, it's a long days for them for sure.
Be fun. Fantasy world, golf course general manager would be right up there in my fantasy jobs. You're looking at me like I'm an idiot.
No, it's good. Honestly, it's great people, great venue. I always laugh that my office is like 10 steps from the first tee box, so pretty fortunate from that side, and enjoy it. And gets me out of bed every day for sure.
Hour 3 of the program is going to come up. We're going to hear again from Kian Schaffer-Baker. Fun interview with him that we had in hour 1. And also Dante De Caria, Regina Pats. The young, scrappy Pats are in PA tonight. We'll talk to him. It is a Sports Cage on the home of the Regina Pats, 620 CKRM. Out on the Western Pizza Guest Hotline, it is free delivery on orders over $25 when you order on Western Pizza Express. Voice of the Regina Pats, as we've been talking about, the Pats are in action momentarily coming up here in Prince Albert against the Raiders. Dante De Caria joining us. Dante, the long Wednesday trek to Prince Albert, Saskatchewan. Always a treat, isn't it?
Yeah, it's going to be a fun game tonight. Really looking forward to see how the Pats, play tonight against Prince Albert. I mean, the last time these two teams met was on Saturday at the Brent Center, and Regina squeezed out a 3-2 shootout win with a pretty exciting third period with 2 consecutive goals to tie it. So looking forward to see how the Pats play tonight. Yeah,
that's something special, right? Because you got all these young guys. It's such a young team, like we've talked about a number of times here on the show. And they go in and they squeeze out a win over a team that's battling in the Eastern Division right now.
Yeah, I mean, the Prince Albert Raiders are playing some of their best hockey this season. I was kind of doing, some prep today, and they're, 6-0-1 in their last 7 games. So they've recorded at least a point in 7 consecutive games, and, picked up, I guess it would be, doing my math, 5 of 6 points over their 3-3 weekend. They beat Saskatoon twice. Their only loss was to Regina in a shootout. So it was a pretty successful weekend for themselves. And they get their head coach back tonight. Jeff Truitt was away from the team due to eye surgery, and he is finally back with the club, and happy to see that he's back behind the bench and healthy. Ryan McDonald did a great job with Prince Albert, but this is a Raiders team that is very talented. They're good, and the Pats are going to have to bring their A game tonight for sure.
Yeah, let's maybe single out from your lens. And we had Brad on last week. We talked about the young guys, and then you kind of went through that triangle of death and Alberta. But from your lens, maybe if you could single out 1 or 2 of the young guys that you're enjoying watching here as they've been thrust into major roles.
Yeah, I think it's not just 1 or 2 young guys that I've enjoyed watching. I've enjoyed watching a lot of these young players kind of grow and blossom. I'll start with the 3 16-year-olds. Cameron Kuzma's done an exceptional job as of late. He's got a 3-game point streak coming into tonight's action. And then you look at Cohen Clausen and Zachary Lansard, who I think have 6 points in their last 10 games coming in. Now, I mean, relatively speaking, if you look at, say, Mercick on Prince Albert, who's got, 13 points in those last 6 games, you would say, okay, well, that's not that good. But you have to remember that those 2 players, or those 3 players, in the matter of fact, are only just 16 years old. So I think that's pretty good production for a Pats team that has had difficulty scoring this year. So that's definitely a positive. And then you look at some of the 17-year-old players. I've really been impressed with Zach Pantelakis' growth over the course of the season. Julian Mays should be a superstar in years to come. Matt Peranich, Reese Hamilton, Jace Eglin has played very well as of late. There's so many young players on this team that I could mention. So it's hard to go through them all. I know that these are 2 19-year-old players, but I think Pats fans have to be pretty satisfied with how both goaltenders have played. I mean, you talk about 48 saves on Wednesday in Lethbridge. Ewan Hue was amazing for the Regina Pats. And then I know it's only 20 shots against on Saturday against Prince Albert, but Kelton Pine, that save that he made in overtime was absolutely unbelievable. So it's nice to see the Pats get some consistent goaltending and see some young players score.
Dante De Caria is joining us on the Western Pizza Guest Hotline. His pregame show starts at 6:30 right here on 620 CKRM, and the play-by-play at 7. Looking ahead to this weekend, is it family weekend for all the players? Speaking of these young guys, it'd be nice for some of them to see their family in town.
Yeah, it's going to be family weekend. Really looking forward to that. Of course, on Friday night, the mums and billet mums will be honored in a pregame ceremony. I think that's always fun to see all the mums and dads and brothers and sisters and everybody come out to the Brandt Center and kind of be together and, watch a morning practice and watch morning skate and, be in the dressing room for the coach's speech and, read out the lineup and stuff like that. It's something that, NHL teams are starting to do now. You're seeing, say, for example, the Chicago Blackhawks have their mom and dad trip on separate nights. So I think it's really important at any level for these kids and for these athletes to have their parents and for the organization to invite these families out is just, it's truly important because, these kids are in our hands. They're in the coach's hands for half the year. And for the parents to have the opportunity to come out and see how well taken care of their young athletes are, I think just means the world.
That's right. Pats are back in action at home. That is Friday against the Red Deer Rebels. All right, Dante, have a good call tonight against the Raiders. Hopefully it's another exciting one against the PA squad.
All right. Thank you so much, Barney. Appreciate it.
Right on. Voice of the Regina Pats, Dante De Caria, joining us here on 620 CKRM, 6:30 pregame show, 7 o'clock puck drop. That is the Sports Cage for this, Wednesday. Again, Ryan Pollock, thanks so much. Colson and Curtis, always a pleasure with the fellas. Chris Mazurek has you tomorrow. He's got the regulars with Arash Madani coming in, Glenn Suter, and maybe a little treat. He's going to be talking AHL All-Star Game as well. It is a Sports Cage. Thanks so much to everyone who is watching the stream, that hit that like button. That means so much, and the subscribe button. And as always, we are on the home of the Regina Pats, the home of the Saskatchewan Roughriders, 620 CKRM.